Grab you a milkshake and a hamburger. We're talking Riverdale. This is a review for Riverdale, Chapter 26, The Telltale Heart. So I enjoyed tonight's episode. I thought it was very simple, and I just thought the writing was good on this one. It had, I'd say it was a standalone episode enough. It's sort of one of those there to be there episodes. And I think it may have ended some storylines, maybe it didn't, but it was enjoyable. So let's just review some of the things that happened tonight. So Betty has to deal with the fact that her brother killed a guy, and they have to bury the body. So they go and ditch it in a sewer system somewhere. And Betty's like all worried about this. She's trying to figure out who this guy is. Going through his phone, which I'm like, really, Betty? I mean, if you wanted to go to the police, you should have just gone to the police. But if you're going to cover up the fact that your brother killed the guy, why the fuck are you going to use his phone? Even if they don't catch you with the phone on you, I mean, you're going to be calling these people up. People probably remember that some woman called them up. If they figure out who this guy is and they try to find his phone, they get the phone records. They'll call the people up. Anyway, like I said, Betty shouldn't have gotten involved because she couldn't cover up a murder for shit. And of course, she just drags more people into it. She's like, Jughead, this happened. Can you help me? And then Jughead helps her get rid of the car that the guy brought to the house that had just been parked across the street. Then later they have to bring FP into it. So FP, the one who has some brains, buries the guy, throws some lye on it so the body would disintegrate over a matter of days. And that's kind of where they went with that, They just, Betty's, nervous as shit, like the Telltale Heart, and, they have to get rid of a body. Archie, I think we ended the Agent Adams storyline where the Adams is really putting the screws to him, trying to figure out about the murder, and he's like, hey, check this out. He shows up at Archie's house a few times. Once he gets pretty aggressive, knocks over Archie's drum cymbal, breaks it. Later, he shows up at Archie's house talking to Fred, and apparently he's saying to Fred, hey, we know that you've brought over some undocumented workers from Canada, paid them under the table, and he uses it to blackmail Archie into putting a bug into Hiram's office, but Archie decides not to do that. Tell Hiram about Agent Adams, and later Archie takes a ride with Andre out in the middle of nowhere. Oh, what's going to happen? Everything was a little tense. I knew nothing was going to happen to Archie. Anyway, they go to the cliffside. Who's there? Not Hiram, Hermione, because apparently Hermione is the actual boss of the operation. Hiram, I guess, is just the front man, but it's Hermione who's the actual boss. And I think that kind of makes sense because, they talk about this family, and I'm pretty sure, all the guys connected to it are married to one of her sisters. It's not like a brotherhood. It's the sisters who actually run this crime family. That might be interesting if that's the case. It's kind of confusing as to what family the Lodges belong to. They seem to be connected to food guys. They had the Papa Patelli who gets killed, and you had another meat guy, and you had the wine guy. And I don't know what food Hiram was connected to. Maybe he had a stake in the Blossom Maple Farms. Anyway, like I said, Archie talks to Hermione. Hermione says, hey, that Agent Adams, he works for us. The whole thing was just a test, and you passed. And now you're part of the family. Like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. Like I said, I'm not too sure about that. We might find out later that Agent Adams was a real agent who went rogue, but for now it looks like Agent Adams was just that, a fake FBI agent. The whole thing stunk. It's sort of like, like Archie. God, use your fucking brain. You really think this FBI agent is going to be using you, a teenager, to spy on a crime family? Put your fucking brain, use your fucking gray area, your fucking brain. Figure out either he's a fake or he's fucking rogue. He's a dirty FBI agent. Fucking tell fucking Sheriff Keller. It's like, Christ, can you help me out with this FBI agent? Kind of annoyed me. I'm hoping this is the end of that storyline. Agent Adams one, and now it's just Archie being part of the Lodge crime family. But still, who the fuck shot Papa Patelli then? Or Papa Patuli? Or Paul Boshier? Whatever the fuck the guy's name is. He gets shot dead in a motel room, and it's basically confirmed by Kevin, who heard it from his dad, and it's in the papers. Who shot him then, if it was all part of a test? That, like I said, my theory was it was the other meat guy, Leo Kowalski, or whatever the hell his name was. You know, he wanted a bigger steak and meat, so he killed Papa Patelli. But that didn't get answered in this episode. Like I said, maybe they'll bring it back. Maybe it was the Black Hood, because Papa Patelli, I mean, he's a criminal. He's a sinner. Black Hood's back. Who knows? So that happened. Not much more else. Betty finds out that Hal was cheating on his wife, on Alice, with Mrs. Blossom, and he finds this out through Cheryl, who's the episode found out, and she was kind of in this dilemma: should I tell Betty or not? And it was kind of interesting, but part of me is sort of like, what exactly is Cheryl's character? Sometimes she's kind of this wild child, breaks all the rules, likes to create chaos, and then every once in a while they give her this sort of dramatic thing where you realize, oh, she's a human being, like in this one, and it doesn't really feel like she has layers, so much as they're just kind of bouncing around. They're just giving Cheryl all sorts of stuff, and like I said, I like Madeline Patek, and I like her character, but you don't have to give her that much fucking stuff, okay? You know, you could have given that story to someone else. You know, Reggie's just out jogging around, getting pumped up for basketball practice. He sees Hal Blossom coming out of Hal Cooper coming out of Mrs. Blossom's house, puts two together, and it's Reggie who has to figure out, should he tell Betty or not? But no, it's just Madeline. It's just Cheryl again. Why is it so hard to give Reggie a fucking story? What's going on, Riverdale? I gotta ask some questions, you know? Because, first of all, we're on the second Reggie. Both of them have been Asians, and they never seem to get a storyline. You know, there's a movement called Not My Asian Sidekick that's going on. You know, Asian Americans are kind of wondering about how they're being represented, and sometimes their characters that should be Asian are being played by white people. In this case, it's two, Asian guys playing a white character, but all of a sudden, that character hasn't got jack shit to do. Reggie has always been a part of the fucking Archie gang, yet somehow you've made him not even a secondary character, like a tertiary character, a third-rate character. After you make him Asian. That's pretty goddamn suspicious, Riverdale. Like I said, I'm gonna make more of these shirts. Well, maybe not. We'll get people going. Reggie needs a fucking story, people. There should be some outrage over that. And that's really all I got for this episode. Like I said, I thought it was a very simple episode. I liked it. I don't know if it leads into anything. Oh, well, Mayor McCoy stepped down because she realized that, Jughead's going to expose her connection to the lodges. And she says, fucking lodges, she get pissed at them. So then the lodges were going to set her up, expose that she had an affair. Veronica intervenes and says, hey, get on top of this. Why don't you just quit? Make it look like, the stress of the job got to you. No one's going to ask any questions. So Mayor McCoy dropped out. So it could be interesting to see who the next mayor of Riverdale. It's, oh, for fuck's sakes, Reggie runs. Reggie runs for mayor. See, right there. That's a fucking story for Reggie. He's too young, or maybe he just kind of makes the thing, and then Reggie runs for fucking mayor of River fucking Dale. And it's like, hilarity and shenanigans ensue. So right there. That's how fucking easy it is to give Reggie a goddamn story. It doesn't have to be that fucking complex, all right? It's based off of Archie comics. They have a lot of simple shit going on in the fucking comics that, it does seem like Riverdale, they follow the comics pretty much. I don't see why fucking Reggie can't run for fucking mayor or find a fucking gold mine. You know what? Hashtag Reggie for fucking mayor. Well, Reggie for mayor, for those of you who don't want to use profanity.